All right. Thank you all for watching Competing in Cornfields. We're here today with Anthony Lott to just, you know, kind of shoot the crap, see what's up. How things been going? What have you been up to?
Working, living the essential life.
Essential life.
Go to work every day. The only thing that's really changed is you can't go to restaurants. Well, you can now, but restaurants opening back up finally. Walmart's a little less busy when you go in there. Other than that, nothing's changed for me.
Yeah. Did they get pretty strict in Fremont with any of the COVID stuff?
No, Menards, I think within like the last month started requiring masks, but I think that's like every Menards, not just Fremont. Sit down restaurants closed or only let you like pick up food. You couldn't go in and eat, but every drive-through was open, every liquor store was open. You know,
Of course.
the essentials.
Yeah, that's that is pretty crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, same here. I guess at the start of quarantine, I was kind of like at peace for a little bit, and then like Prairie Life, like the or lifting weights gym here anyway, never closed, and like they said that there were restrictions, but they said that there were,
The ones in Fremont did that too, where you had to sign in, and if there was more than 10 people there, you had to wait.
Yeah, in like a certain area or
Well, I know the YMCA closed down at
Mhm.
least, but the Anytime Fitness, they had a sign-in sheet. I don't know, dude. I don't go to the gym, but from what I hear,
right. Yeah, no, I gotcha. Um, yeah, so I guess if you were to go out and about in Fremont, most places are, open, or they do just have like the little, uh, you have to do takeout, you have to do this or that.
yeah. But the restaurants just opened up, probably beginning of June, I think.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we've went out to eat a couple times. Uh, like I said, I've been essential, so it doesn't. Nothing really changed for me. So when the restaurants opened back up, it didn't really bother me. The restaurants, I didn't really care how full they were because I was out in the world every day. And if I would have brought it back to my family, would have sucked, but we would have already dealt with it. So when I'm out and about, for me, I have a big chance of bringing it home if I would have done it already. So what's it hurt to go to a restaurant with the family?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I know. Especially like being younger and stuff. Like I guess you just be more worried about like the people who more at risk people. But I mean, they shouldn't be at the restaurants anyway, I guess.
right.
But anyways, yeah, UFC 251. One fight that I wanted to talk about because I wanted to make this point. Jessica Rose versus, Thug Rose versus Jessica Andrade. What are your thoughts on that one?
I thought Rose won. Um, if you're talking about how they looked at the end of the fight, I also don't. I don't like basing fights off of visible damage because let's say Rose came out in the first 10 seconds, caught Andrade on the chin and knocked her down, and Rose ground and pounded the whole rest of the, let's say, another 4 minutes, and then Andrade made her way up and punched Rose in the nose and started bleeding. So you're gonna say Rose's punch to the chin, which knocked her on her butt, didn't do damage because her chin wasn't bleeding, but at the same time she got punched in the nose and it started bleeding? Or visible damage, I don't think should come into consideration.
Right, and so like another piece of that is that so if the fight were to keep going forever, I think Andrade would have probably won.
I think
You know,
eventually,
so
yeah.
that's the same thing with like John Jones, Dominic Reyes. Maybe not like with like the visible beating or anything like that, but you can tell that if that fight went on for forever, John Jones was going to win. So therefore, he did win the fight. And then I felt like I don't know. It's just a preference thing. I know. I believe that Thug Rose won. I just might have been, more of a fan of like, the people like doing damage, and versus like I know it's a sport. Like it's a sport. It's a sport and also a fight.
Right.
In that, yeah, I do see like how you get outpointed, but I also do see Andrade messing up Thug Rose's face a bit.
Yeah, but at the same point, look at all the Diaz fights. I mean, they get busted up every fight, like no matter what. I mean, they can get cut in the first round, and that might be the only punch that their opponent lands on them. But there'll be a bloody mess at the end of it just because of the grappling spreads it, and
they have all that scar tissue.
Yeah, scar tissue and everything else. And another good example, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus
Weili Zhang.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
That's
taught
crazy.
You're taught to put your chin down and to take punches on the forehead. So if you have a bump on the forehead, what does that? I mean, I know she had more than a bump, but like
you look like an alien.
Yeah, she was growing a second head, but that's where you want to take punches. If you're gonna take them, you want to take them on the forehead. So her having a hematoma on her forehead just means that wasn't really a significant strike. Well, I won't say significant, but
and they look worse than they actually are. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but right. I mean, that's the consensus. That's what everybody says.
Cut me, Mick. You gotta cut me.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, but I mean, like that's what everybody does say, right? They do look terrible. It looks like a couple fists on your face.
Yeah, but when you're taught to put your chin down and you want to take punches on the forehead rather than on the chin or in the eye or in the nose, yeah, she's gonna have damage on her forehead. Like I just think visual damage shouldn't count for so much, especially when you have 20, 30 pro fights, not counting your amateur fights. You get scar tissue, you get cuts from training, not just in fights. So the very first punch of the fight could land on someone's scar tissue and bust it open, and it's a bloodbath all of a sudden.
Like the Diaz brothers.
Right, yeah.
First jab.
Right.
Kick it off. So then, like, man, there's a controversial decision. Some people don't think it's so controversial, but Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. What were your thoughts on that one?
I thought Max won. I thought he won 1, 2, 4. I thought Volkanovski definitely won 5, and round 3 was a toss-up, if I remember correctly. I had Max winning, I know that. But that's what Max dropped him in the first 2 rounds, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean he was definitely looking good. Man, I know like not everything's like the strike computations or whatever, but let me read this off real quick. So the total strikes: 139 Volkanovski versus 111 Max. Significant strikes: 137 Volkanovski versus 102 for Max. And then takedowns, 3 for 9 on Volkanovski, 0-0 for Max. I mean, like, on paper, do you think that the judges probably looked at a lot of that, and then they, on top of that, they thought, if you want to beat the champion, you have to, like, really smoke the champion. You know what I mean? You think maybe that was kind of figuring into their minds?
Well, basing off those numbers, you said 111 strikes total for Max, and then 108 of them were significant. So everything but, 2 or 3 strikes for Max was a significant strike.
That's a good call. I didn't think of it that way whenever I looked at it the first time. I just saw the significant or the total numbers. Yeah. Wow.
But
So he was aiming with precision. He was really hitting it, piecing them up.
Well, I hate that they can determine what a significant strike is, because I don't care if it's a jab to the jaw. someone has a good poker face. I mean, look at Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin. I mean, a walking backwards jab put Forrest Griffin out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you don't count jabs, I don't know. I hate the word significant strike because you don't know how that landed or how that felt on them or if that changed their game plan just because they put a poker face on or didn't react a certain way. I guess I need to know the definition of a significant strike, but I don't think you can click numbers on significant strikes.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess within the total strikes, maybe like if you like bounce one off like their hands and it maybe lands a little bit. I don't know either, and I don't know who's tallying these up or anything like that. So
Bunch of people who've never trained in their life, probably.
yeah, yeah. So, and then I think it's always a good idea, like Volkanovski did in the 5th round, to go ahead and throw some takedowns in there. You never know. Some of the judges might score a takedown as like you winning that round for sure.
Yeah, I think that comes down to we need better judges too. I'm not saying the judges got that wrong because I had Max winning, but I could see how Volkanovski might have stole it. But I think we need educated judges, and I think that's not just in the UFC but also local shows too. Like I don't want to be a judge, but if someone came to me, I would might test the water, like maybe 1 or 2 events, and see how it goes from there. But I think you need educated judges. I would like to see a lot of former UFC fighters or former professional fighters or people who aren't just disciplined in jiu-jitsu or just a boxer because they're going to outweigh everything. I want someone who's trained specifically in MMA. I'm not saying you can't train boxing on the side or jiu-jitsu on the side, but I want you to know what an MMA round feels like and train for that.
One thing that I kind of say with that is that in Nebraska anyway, I think that they do kind of pick their judges. It's not easy. Like Derek Meyer, who goes to Lincoln Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he's a judge there, and he was kind of telling us the process, and he even had like a little bit of in and that help him on his way through. And even if you are knowledgeable judges, which I know like biased or whatever, but like I feel that he is.
Mm-hmm.
He at whatever, the one on December 8th in 2019, the season's beatings, he came to the little booth and talked to Cody Oltman and I, and we all three thought the fight went different ways. I think it was
all 3 of you had
yeah, all 3 of us. It was like I think it was Rory versus Ray Evans, and we were all like on 3 separate pages. I'm like, okay, so a lot of it is, a matter of opinion as well.
Right.
I feel like they still have their, I mean, I wouldn't say biases, but they're saying like, maybe they have like a deep-seated wrestling base or something like that. They're like, oh, takedown, that's automatic win on this round or something like that.
Well, also, there's not, like, let's be honest, there's not a lot of big places to train out of Nebraska. So, more than likely, a teammate or a friend of one of your teammates or something like that is going to end up fighting. So, you're going to be a little biased right there. I mean, if I ever had to judge against a premier guy, it'd be super hard for that other guy to win.
Well, and it stinks.
Finish,
It stinks too because don't they announce it? They're like, judge, like Derek Meyer, for instance, has it 10-9. Lott. If you know who it is.
I think they only do that for split.
For split?
Yeah.
For split.
Well, I guess you wouldn't have to if it was unanimous. So
yeah,
they all have it going the same way.
Yeah, you just gotta, but I guess you just have to keep that in the back of your mind, like, they might out me right here.
Well, either that or have a pretty damn good reason why you went that way.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't think there's gonna be, unless it's like flat out highway robbery, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of fighters who come up to judges and be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. That being said, we're in Nebraska, so
Right.
there's some sketchy dudes fighting.
Finish your fights.
Easier said than done. I'll
Right.
say that,
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. So then the main event. Just kind of what your thoughts were and like what you think might come next for each fighter.
Usman and Masvidal.
Yes.
Usman's probably fighting Burns, I would think. I don't see them getting away from that one.
I like that fight too.
I do too. I'm not a big Usman fan. Joe Ellenberger's going to kill me for saying that. But
Carney.
yeah, Joe was my wrestling coach and did a lot of one-on-one privates with him, and he knows Usman really well. And I'm just not the biggest Usman fan. For Masvidal, I think he's probably going to end up fighting Colby. They can sell too many pay-per-views.
I would love that.
Or
I love
views.
that idea. All right, and we're back. We're saying that you think that it's going to be Usman and Covington?
No.
Or
Masvidal.
Masvidal and Covington. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. How do you see that one going?
Man, the exact same way that I see it going with Usman. You know, Masvidal, I guess the difference would be that he has a full camp to prepare for this one. But otherwise, I think that that Covington does the same thing that Usman did.
Yeah, hopefully not as many foot stomps up against the fence. You know?
Yeah.
But I see Colby, all the Masvidal dick riders out there are going to be all mad, but I see Colby taking that one. And I'm a fan of Masvidal, but looking at it realistically, I see Covington wrestle fucking him.
Well, yeah, and then as a fan, and I mean, not only like a Colby Covington fan, but a fan of MMA, I think it's good for MMA whenever he's coming out because they said that there was a beef between Usman and Masvidal, even though they only had like a week to even talk about it. But there's a serious beef, in between, Masvidal and Covington. So that'd be great to see that play out. And I love the antics, even like they could be cringy or whatever, but I think it's all great. Like that's the same reason that people, including me, like Tito Ortiz back in the day.
Yeah, I was a fan of Tito.
Pretty cringy sometimes.
I wouldn't say he was as bad as Covington.
Right.
I think Covington's like a try-hard chael.
Yeah.
More than like you can tell he rehearses some of this shit. Like he has this in the back of his head, and then he has it. He's waiting for the right time to drop it. And I'm not a Conor fan either, but you can tell Conor comes up with his shit like on the spot. You can tell Colby writes his out, memorizes it, and everything. Like,
Donald Trump's favorite president or Donald Trump's favorite fighter,
right?
Whatever, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, so I think Usman Burns. Do you think that what's his bucket? Leon Edwards fits into the mix? I don't see how, honestly.
Well, him and Masvidal have that 3-piece and a soda thing. Yeah, Masvidal could fight Edwards, and I'd watch that fight. That'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I don't know. You see all these UFC fighters put their contracts up and say the other one didn't sign it, blah, 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 that guy's a bitch, stuff. So I also heard Colby's fighting Woodley. I heard that was coming up.
I like that too.
Yeah, the wrestling will hopefully cancel each other out. We'll see if Woodley can land the bomb or if Colby can eat the punch and land 7 more.
Do you think that Woodley still has a bomb landing power?
Yeah, I don't think that went away. I think he just took a long time off between his last fight and the Gilbert Burns fight. And Gilbert Burns is a monster too. So, I don't know. I think Burns was a bad matchup for him coming off of when was the last time he fought before that? Like a year and a half? Something like that. I mean, it was
whenever he lost Usman.
Yeah, a lengthy amount of time. Usman had, what, 2 fights in between then?
Yeah, and probably a few grappling matches, things here and there. Yeah.
So I think that was just the wrong opponent to come back to, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially with... I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen more fighters gas out in Corona time. Like, because you're not getting... There's no way their fight camps are what they used to be. With a bunch of people there round-robining on someone who's getting ready for a fight and all that. I mean, unless you're breaking the rules, which, I mean, I don't care, but you ain't gonna come out in the open and say that, you know?
But I think that, you know, like, the gym owners definitely know the rules, but I don't think that everybody else is, like, too hip or keen or know what's up with the rules. Because, I mean, like, you see Premier, like, that's dang near, like, a regular fight camp, you know?
Now, yeah.
Kind of like what I've been seeing, like, at least, like, the last few weeks to maybe closer to a month, right?
I mean, I only see the same stuff you do. I haven't been in
on
there.
social media.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got to sign a waiver, something like that. Maybe it's because we're not in, like, phase red or whatever this second, so they can get away with more. You might. I know Jensen is making people have their temperature taken.
Same at Lincoln Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, before you come in there, and then I'm pretty sure you have to sign a waiver where you waive all your rights to fine the gym or sue the gym for if you get COVID. But I don't know how that goes in states like Florida or everywhere else.
Like California, they just closed again, I believe.
Yeah, I think
so
I remember hearing that.
Yeah. So, do you have any predictions on when fights will be held in Lincoln or Omaha?
I bet it'll be next year.
Next year?
Well, maybe not held, but for audience and stuff, I bet it'll be next year. Or late this year, because they said everything's gonna close down again in the fall. Because it's just gonna skyrocket again
once it gets cold.
Yeah. Apparently the heat kills COVID or something, even though it's all just going uphill now. But I don't know, if what they predict comes true, I don't think it'll be till next year. You might have a couple, like, doing what the UFC's doing, where you have just enough people there to run a show and get your fights going. I don't see attendance, audience for a while.
So, like, a few, probably the same night that Amanda Nunes fought what's her bucket on UFC 250. I can't remember. But it was at least a few weeks ago.
The Canadian.
Yeah, the Canadian. Yeah. But Tanner Wanch and Jack Frierks both fought on a card that was in Kansas City, and Tanner's fight was combat jiu-jitsu, and Jack was in a boxing tournament. Like, so, like, your first fight is regular boxing, and if you make it to the finals, you fight bare knuckle.
Yeah, didn't it go boxing, kickboxing, bare knuckle, or boxing, MMA, bare knuckle?
I think, at least for Jack, I think it just went boxing, bare knuckle. But I have heard of those, and I remember Jason Scott was telling me about being in one of those tournaments.
Yeah.
But but anyway, so they had to add, like, jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle, everything all into one card. And and then they could do pay-per-view, and then with no fans. But they had to add all those things in to even make enough for pay-per-view.
Probably just enough to pique everybody's interest.
Yeah.
Just a jiu-jitsu guy will watch that. Just a boxing guy. Just a kickboxing guy. Bare knuckle guy.
Yeah, and just sell the pay-per-view for cheap and all that. And then so, like, one of the striking coaches at Capital City Jiu-Jitsu, Jesse Lee, he was saying that he was told to, like, pretty much be ready at the end of July for a fight at Pinnacle Bank Arena, and that they're supposed to be able to have 75% capacity. So he was told all that, Well, so he told me, and yeah, but I mean, I at this time I don't think that's gonna happen.
But
Just because there's not enough promotion time.
right.
Things like that. But if that was actually the case, and assuming that like things don't go in the other direction, I'm thinking that like hopefully September,
Think so? That really?
maybe
Yeah.
with
Ugh.
75% capacity. Because if you think about it, if Dynasty or somebody goes to Pinnacle Bank Arena, they're not gonna fill up 100% capacity.
No.
So then that 75 is going to be no big deal. It'd be, business as usual.
Yeah, but is it gonna be? Yeah, I guess it wouldn't matter. I don't even think dynasty fights probably don't even hit 75%. I wouldn't think. Usually, I don't know what's a pinnacle sit.
You got me. But, I think that they would be fine. And, just like look for a lot of sales and like beer and things like that, as
Honestly,
well as tickets.
yeah, I honestly bet you might be able to sell it out. People are getting cabin fever. On the other hand, on the other side of it, people.
Yeah.
I mean, people who might not usually go to fights might be like, you know what, let's just get out of the house. I'm tired of being cooped up. They're following the guidelines. Let's go do something.
Well, yeah, and like
too.
fight fans are pretty risky anyway, for the most part, I would say, right?
Yeah, I don't know too many of them that really give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely not me. Let's see here. See. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. Uh, well, what kind of advantages do you think that there will be for fighters who have been training during quarantine versus fighters who have not?
100% advantage. I mean,
100% advantage.
yeah, I mean, you can't teach toughness or anything like that, but you gotta earn your cardio, you gotta earn your rounds, you gotta earn everything else. I mean, you can't do that if you're not training. So I think the guys who have been training or at least staying in shape are gonna have a pretty good head start on the guys who haven't, or girls that haven't.
Right. Yeah, yeah, no kidding. I think that, it's going to be massive, not only like physically, but mentally. Let's say that, you know, there's a event named in like late August or September, and if somebody has an opponent that they're pretty much gonna know if they've been training or not. You know what I mean? By like what gym you're at, what this and that, and like that first week for the person who hasn't been training very much is gonna be like getting into decent shape to like continue training. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's this thing at Premiere where it's easier to stay ready than get ready.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's 100% true. It's easier to maintain a level and then kick it up when you got something planned than to go sit on the couch for 2 months and then get offered a fight and start from not scratch, but basically from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then, let's see. And then also like the people who like were complaining about certain gyms not being open or whatnot, like I feel like you can find training if you want to. Like, I mean, at least if you live in like Lincoln or Omaha, you should have been able to find training like as soon as it wasn't mandatory that everything was closed. So I mean, there's also that.
Well, that, and then I'm guessing like 100% of gyms, if they're closed down, they're not taking your money right now either.
Mm-hmm.
To where you could reach out to a coach and say, I want to do a private lesson, a one-on-one, flip them, whatever, for an hour, and train that way too. You can, I mean, if you're at a gym, I guarantee you, because they ain't getting paid if they're not working.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone reaches out to them and says, hey, I want to do a private lesson, we won't be breaking any rules. It'll just be him and I, or her and her, or whatever. you're not really breaking any rules, and you're staying within not social distancing, because you can't hit pads 6 feet apart, but
Right.
you're not in large groups or anything, so I guarantee you 100% of coaches that ain't getting paid right now are going to take private lessons all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree with that, and I think that, yeah, you definitely probably could pay for training, or like if you have an in or anything like that, you could probably figure something out.
I mean, granted, boxing's probably going to be the easiest one to do because a pair of pads and a body shield, maybe. You can't really just go roll on someone's basement concrete floor or
Oh, yeah.
whatever, but I don't know. Everything to stay in shape if you plan on fighting after COVID helps.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Yeah, before I forget, definitely shout out to Michael Aquila, fighting tomorrow night on LFA. I hope he does well, a bantamweight pro. Let's see. Oh, you got anything else?
Shout out to Twin J.
Yeah, always shout out to Twin J, Scott Johnson, everybody. Charlene, of course. Yeah.
Other than that, good luck, Premier Boys, next time you guys fight. Hope you guys are all working hard down there.
They seem to be. All right, good luck, everybody. Thank you. Bye.